Okay. Well, welcome to another episode of Uncensored with Abdul Sakasi. Sorry about the delay. I was supposed to air it. I was supposed to. It's supposed to come out like yesterday, but for some reason I woke up very late and okay. I just woke up late around about 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, something like that. I was getting prepared for it, but I got other things to do. I did other things and I almost forgot. I just didn't have the time to do it yesterday because I was watching other shows and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just do it like I'm just gonna add the episode like now. So in this episode, so sorry about that. So I really hope you enjoyed this another episode. Yesterday, last time we already talked about how bad my life in school was. How I used to get bullied from one side and I used to be bullied and I got told off from another and realized what a mistake my parents actually made and that really cost me a lot. But this episode I just want to feel like I want to just talk about a little bit different. So yes, already yesterday already the whole new game that I think they come out called the Four Guys. It's just basically it's just all the random. I think it's just all the other players. I think there's other players you play. It's similar to Takashi Castle and Ninja Warrior. You have to go through like a massive obstacles to avoid slimes and to finish early as you possibly can and to survive. And I've seen other YouTubers playing it, and decided, I'm gonna try it. If other YouTubers doing so can I. And that's what I did. I've kind of struggled a bit. Once I get there, I get to the round to there, trying to realize that I need to get to the final, and then once I get to the final, I decided, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna win the whole thing. And then after I won the whole thing, it was a magnificent. I was getting a bit stressed. I was desperate to win this game because there was a second season that was supposed to come out, which was a medieval setting soon. So I just feel like I need to make sure that I finish it as soon as I possibly can. And it was alright. It can be a bit stressful. I just played a bit of the game myself, and you get pushed, you get pulled, and the time doesn't go on. Your player just doesn't get up as quickly as it should be, and then that's how it can cost you the game. I have and one of my favorite rounds is usually the rollover. It's the thing that rolls one place into another. I think you have to ensure that you pass you basically you have to pass it you have to pass from one role into another one, and it's to start avoid getting into the slime. And I really kind of enjoyed it. I got addicted to it, and not necessarily addicted, I just got addicted to it into the game. And it was okay. It was okay, and I really liked it, and I kind of really enjoyed it as well. And there's another things about my chest. And yeah, the Fall Guys is just I wanted to play Fortnite, but the reason I didn't play Fortnite is because I just didn't like the game. I don't know. It's just basically not my cup of tea. When things didn't go my cup of, it just I don't know. I only played like few games in there. I forced myself to play because others that tend to be played. It used to be usually a public game. You shoot others and then you die. And I just didn't. I wasn't interested. I wasn't connecting enough compared to Fall Guys. The Fall Guys, I had so much fun. You just go into one obstacle and then you go into the next obstacle and then you go to the next obstacle. It was amazing. Despite being it's the same time stressful as well. I just remember I just remember any team you can play any team, but one of the teams that you probably need to avoid is something that's been notorious for being a loser, and that's the yellow team. The yellow team, you lose a lot of games. You guys probably know it anyway. Yellow team is usually the worst, but obviously it doesn't always happen. When you're in Unity, you have like 80 to 85% chance of you could lose. I'm probably miscalculating or what now. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I had no idea about it. It was okay. I just kind of enjoyed playing the. I just kind of enjoyed playing it. It's just one of those things that it really helped people go through really tough times and during the COVID-19 thing and this bloody pandemic, which I'm sure it's going to start rising up. It just calmed down through the summer, but I'm expected to rise up because we're going through like a colder season, which virus tend to survive. I used to think that COVID-19 is just a new season. We don't know whether it's going to be seasonal flu or not. But then when you look at it, when I listened to one of the Professor told me it is pretty much a seasonal flu. So that means it's going to be a lot more active, and it's going to probably going to get people are going to get spread out a little bit quickly, and we could probably be in a lockdown again. You know, just like I when I first heard about the lockdown, the first time I've heard, first time we felt like we're going through lockdown, I actually panicked because it's not because I'm worried about the disease, because I know if anything I'll have to protect my vulnerability. I'm just worried about going lockdown because I don't want to be locked, stayed home, and then you can't go out and anywhere else, and you'll be stuck, and you can't go. I just did not like it at all. I really, really don't like it. I think COVID-19 really, really affected us in some ways, you know. It affected me, affected everyone else. I used People used to just do whatever they want, but people are a little bit more afraid. I could be wrong. People are just afraid of going out of the comfort zone because of the virus. At the early of the year, at the beginning of the year, everything was there was it was just some sort of a normality where people used to go to the pubs, people used to go to the concert, people used to go to the go to the festival, people watch the shows, everyone used to hang out together, people used to socialize. Wearing masks wasn't a thing. Getting accessible to the toilet wasn't a thing. Even though it wasn't in the news, you know, coronavirus, but it's just a small thing. It was kind of taken a bit serious, but it wasn't taken that serious. Nobody would have foreseen what would have happened to us. We didn't know. We've kind of underestimated the virus. I mean, we weren't ready as well. But obviously you've been given a recommendation and stuff like that, but people didn't take it seriously. It didn't affect us, because usually we watch the news, it doesn't usually affect us in some ways. It didn't affect us in a lot of ways, and it didn't affect us. But because the news, and then when it comes to March, it just started to affect us. People started to panic, and it hit me and hit everyone else. And then after that, I was starting to panic. And then during the lockdown, it wasn't. I mean, I got used to the idea, because it's ironic, because I was supposed to have university this year, but my mom told me you can't go to uni because you have to get other things sorted. And my mom, I think that was an amazing trick, because I was supposed to have university, but for some reason I didn't, because because other things that I don't know for what reason that why I can't go there. But I think it kind of helped me prepare for a pandemic like this, which is quite ironic. I mean, once I remember, I just didn't like I just didn't like the prime minister. You know, how the way he deal with the pandemic, how the way he deal with one thing. I mean, he's just trying to get us to get so-called herd immunity. It looks a good idea on paper, because that means only the more people get affected, the more people will get cured, and people can create antibodies and stuff like that. But the problem is, what if it affects one of the elderly people? What if they're prone to to the virus disease like that? And that is uh, that is pretty much frightening. A lot of people could get killed from it. Now, obviously, not only elderly people get affected, a lot of people with underlying health conditions could get affected, but obviously not people who are 10 and 20 years old might not get affected as well. It's just pretty much, it really was affecting me, you know. I mean, I think the biggest blame have to go to the Chinese government for allowing this to happen. I think the Chinese government, the way they mishandled it, they're just trying to suppress the information because they felt like they got everything under control. It's just act of naivety, and it was also it was just an act of authoritarianism, and it just really messed the whole world. And they got us in this position. If they are willing to let people to, and it only took us whistleblower to tell all the information. If they didn't suppress information like that, then we were able to be a lot more prepared. Other countries would have had time to create vaccine. Other countries would have able to cooperate deals and try to keep others safe. It would be a lot easier, and it would have managed a lot better than it is. But because they suppressed information, it got us into a massive holes and massive mess. And we just our lives have just turned like upside down. I'm sure it affected a lot of people, but the reason I was hoping that the virus would go downhill and hopefully, but again, it just looks like it's still going to continue, like until we get a vaccine and anything like that. And for now, I started to wear a mask, and for now, but my biggest worry is the university. People might argue, oh, you look at the secondary schools, how come they're allowed to go to schools? How come? But because you guys have you got a lot of students, people come from different countries attending it. It's not like people are coming from different countries to go to attend the school. That doesn't make any sense. They're not allowed. It's probably 200, 300 students. I think if 1,000 of them has been tested positive for COVID-19, they may have to self-quarantine, and then and then maybe not all the countries are in a self quarantine list, and that means they have to go from one places, and then they have to go to, and then they could spread one hand, and it becomes a massively hot spot for a second wave, and we can get ourselves into this trouble for some reason. I just really hope people just stay home and make sure you put safety in. We don't want to get it. We need to control as much as possibly can. I mean, I used to like always take something like that. Coronavirus just changed the way we think, we feel around everything. You know, at the beginning of the year, you have shows like Love Island used to come on the show every because it was so successful. They start doing a winter version of it, and they do another summer version of it. But boom, the COVID-19 it's already cancelled this year. I don't know. I'm just not a massive fan of the show, but whatever. I do sometimes watch it. Don't get me wrong. Maybe I might be a bit intrigued of watching the show, but that's just me because I used to be trying to be like one of those people, trying to date one of those communities and one of these people, but it just didn't work out. It really doesn't work out. About passport, how I got there. About my passport, I was basically supposed. I went there like early in a Wednesday morning. I went to London, and then I just managed to get back. Yeah, one of the things that I used to do. I think life before COVID-19 was quite. I mean, it feels different right now. People used to, like I said, people used to do a lot of things to do what the hell they want, because that's them. This is what they are. This is what they're gonna do. What they're gonna do. They're the kings and queens here. Kings and queens here, taking the chip on the shoulders and just whatnot, really, and then just whatnot. I don't know. My personality is just a bit. So what else should I talk about? Okay, I already have an idea. I want to talk about one of the friends I used to have, which is not basically isn't my friend anymore. I think he used to call Muhammad Abdul Razak. His surname is just basically the same as my first name. I mean, we used to be kind of a friend, but I think we were very good friends from early on. But then after that, it just all went downhill. Absolutely, it just basically went downhill. I don't know, for some reason he stopped being mean to me. He stopped just teasing me. He started taking emotionally advantage of me. He's the one who used to get me into trouble and stuff like that. I just didn't like him. He was very arrogant. He was trying to be better than me, everything, and he used to get me upset a lot. He used to kind of piss me off a lot all the time. He used to say nasty things. He was very arrogant. I remember swimming pool that we were supposed to do. Actually, it's ironic because we actually started doing swimming lessons. I was swimming from one place into another. We got award for swimming for 10 meters. I know it sounds ridiculous by now. We should be aiming to swim like 25 meters. I don't think I used to progress, but for some reason he just hugged me and put me down. And then I was about to, for some reason, I don't know what's happened. When I was about to get out of the pool, he just pushes me. He just trying to pull me down, and then I retaliated. I was trying to defend myself, and then I tried to hit him back, and then start having a bit of a fight and argument, and then I got into trouble by him. And then after that, I was banned me and Muhammad got banned for going to swimming for next week. And then a couple of days later, I don't know, because I was trying to defend myself, because I used to think, oh, why I should have done anything. But when I look back on it, I should have. Maybe I was right to hit him back. Maybe I was right to trying to defend myself, trying to get off. Maybe I may have done something. Even if I did, you probably want to punch me and kick me, anything like that. Of course, I'm going to behave that way. And this is how I got banned. And then after 2 days later, I started to feel ill, and I started to get really sick. It wasn't like a very nice. It wasn't a nice experience. I was trying to be kind to him. I was trying to be, because I thought friends used to be very competitive. I don't know, because maybe that's probably the reason why I don't have much friends anymore, because of someone like him. And there's another, and then also there's another one. There's also another story that I was about to. There was also another story that I was about to go to. I was we were about to go, and we all been given a bar of chocolate, and then when I was doing and basically a complete work, he just come here from out of nowhere. He just basically trying to delete it on purpose. I said, "Get off me!" And then he just started punching me, and then and trying to defend it, and then starting to having a kind of a fight for some reason. And then he started marking, and then he had to take him out because for his final contact. And then after that, and then I tried to do something, but for some reason and then he seems to be a problem. And then one of the teachers took the chocolate bar from me. I got very, very upset. He's just very, very cheeky person. I thought I was done everything wrong. Maybe I need to improve on that. But then, and then, and then after that, we used to get into trouble. And then again, we got ended up being punished. And then, then a couple of months later, I mean, I was about to start. This time, I want to start well. I want to be on my very, very good behavior. And then the same thing happened again and again and again. He was getting me upset. He was teasing me. He was getting upset. And then he's getting upset all the time. He keeps me getting me into another fight again. And then we had to separate it again. And then Muhammad told me that you don't want to be. I don't want to be Muhammad. He always done this. He gets upset. He always loses his temper and all this kind of stuff. He told me I used to keep losing my temper. And then this is probably the reason why. And then the teachers had enough and decided like separate me and Muhammad from the classroom. And then we had to sit together in the same bus, and then he said a lot of pinching stuff, and I don't know what you're on about. He just used to make me feel absolute shit. I don't. I'm sorry, I know. Sorry, my language. Excuse my French. Shit. He used to make me feel shit, and it wasn't really not. It wasn't basically. It wasn't a nice guy. He was an absolute. When I look at it, he's an absolute cunt. And then a couple of years later, and then when I met him again, he met one of his friends, his real friend. And then I didn't say something like, I don't know what you're on about. He's better this and better that. I don't know what you're on about. I said, no, okay, I get that's what you don't know. And then after that, he stopped calling me handicapped. He called me refugees and saying all these kind of nasty things for some reason. And then I was about to leave the school, and they said, I mean, I meant to say I was about to leave the house. I said, don't, I'm going to call the police. And then what I did, I strangled him, and then I got very, very upset. And then his sister come in and trying to batter me out. And then he tried to get me into so much, and then it was just another example of kerfuffle. And then I said, that's it, we're not going to be friends anymore, and that's it. And I've made a decision that me and Muhammad are not going to be friends anymore. He's an absolute scumbag. I wish I should have been friends with him for the first place. I don't know, he's got a bit of an attitude problem, I think he's been notorious. He gets angry so bloody easily. He causes a little bit of fight, he causes a little bit of problem. And then one guy, I think probably because I think he went into another school a bit later, and I think I've been heard he got kicked out of the school. He went to the bridge school. Bridge school is just basically a school where the loudest, the most disturbing, the most badly behaved pupils go to, and I think he went to that place. I just don't know. I haven't seen him since. To be honest, I think it's a while. Last time I have been in contact with him. I forgot. I have been in contact with his mom more recently, and I think I've asked him where do you live. He said I live in the Winston Green area, which is in Birmingham. Maybe you guys can tell pretty much about my accent, but Birmingham. And then maybe I've seen his sister and something like that. But maybe I've seen him somewhere in Facebook, which I haven't seen him like since. And then since then, I don't know, and I don't know. I haven't. That's what I've heard. But I don't want to get into too much about that. But I just want to say about. I just want to talk about a story. And there's actually one time after I came back from London like 2 weeks ago, it just makes me real. When I arrived to London from Birmingham, I met one of those many people, and I went there with my brother, and he told me that this place is multicultural, this finest, and I kind of agree with him. I actually surprised how much of multicultural this place really is. And then it kind of made me realize that I just want to move to London at one point. But the only barrier I had is that you have to pay in cards, instead of paying cash. So that means you have to go to the bank, and then you have to put all your bank accounts. Maybe it's down to the COVID-19 thing, or maybe because London is very technology advanced. Another thing is very, very expensive. Everywhere is overpriced, and maybe that's probably the reason why I've been held back to come back. But once I have enough money and sufficient, I just want to hopefully I move to London. I really enjoyed my time there. It's so much fun and not necessarily fun because even though I've only been there for like few hours, and it feels like people I kind of belong ish area that I kind of belong. You know what I mean? I just really hope I come to that place in the future. But you never know; anything can happen. Maybe I want to move to another country. Maybe I want to move to another place, and another countries and stuff like that. And I would want to learn to another countries, and it's really nice, you know. And it's very nice. I really like London. It's very multicultural. I like multicultural place. I don't want anything like here's one group from South Asian origins, one from Jamaican, one Somali, then one Irish, and it's just that. So I want someone who's all different. I like someone from French, I like someone Vietnamese, I want them Korean, Australian, Brazilian, I also like Portuguese. I love the whole mixture of things, you know. I just don't want isolate group from one place and one ethnic group and just isolationism. That just completely just stand against my values. Maybe that's one of the reasons I might consider moving there. But if I have enough, but you never know. And I just really hope that I can get there. And that could be my aim. But and that could be one of the aim. One of the aim. And then there's also another story that another aim. London's it's okay. It's a massive city. It's very capitalist, and it just really rip you off. And it's not a place for like the middle class or the working class. It's for the high class. That's just what I personally think about the city of London. It just rip people off. You have to work hard. You have to pay an amount of money. You have to get another job. I went to a taxi cab with the other guy, and he told me how difficult to live in there. My life I was a lot happier when I was living in London, Newcastle. But when I went to New London, it's just jobs there. You have to pay, and then it's just ridiculous how much people just eat amount of money. It was fascinating. It was a very interesting story to learn from, and then it's a massive city, and that's what I used to think. We used to like walk from one place into another. My brother, told me that you're gonna actually get skinny. You're gonna get thin. Walking, I see people walking. I saw one guy just jogging and doing his exercising and jogging to others. So why do you need to? The light said to me, why do you need to jog? You can get skinny. Just walk from one place to another. You don't need to. You don't need to jog. Literally, you don't. Honestly, you don't need to jog. You can just be skinny from one place into another. And what and okay, yeah, you do need to jog, and that's why he used to tell me a lot. And and then afterwards we got a bit. It was very quick. It's weird because my brother used to be a lot slower in Birmingham, but in London he is quick. I just can't keep up with him for some reason. He told me he's a fast pace guy, but in Birmingham he's a fast pace or a slow pace. It's just normal. You can control the pace, but London's fast pace. It's everything boom 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 boom. Literally, it's one of the just a fast-paced place. I really like living in London. I'm very fast, even though we have a bit of a mixture of pace. You can go slow or quick as much as you want, but I'm usually a quick person, but I just can't keep up with them. Literally, I just usually cannot able to keep up with them, and it was just to me it's a torture. And my legs are tired, and then I got really exhausted. But it's really good exercise. It's just I really kind of enjoyed it regardless. It's a very new place, and people are different. People are mixers. People are so much fun, and nothing is just bland. Everything will be kind of bland. That's just my opinion of London, which I haven't been there for a bit of a while. I managed to go there. I don't travel a lot. It's just kind of controversial thing about me. The guy who likes to. I want to travel a lot, but I just don't get the opportunity to do. Maybe it's lack of money. My family just have any resources at all, and we just always seem to be broke. I don't get. I try to look for a job, and I struggle to get a job. I know why I couldn't get a bloody job in the first place. and it's hard. It's very very difficult. Maybe it was during the recession era. It was just of the financial crisis. My CV wasn't good enough because I was dropped out of school. Or the only work experience I had was a Scope charity shop, which I used to like spend like every Tuesday working in time all the clothes, and that's all I have done, just nothing else, you know. And then one of the person told me I was the best work in this area, and I was very appreciating, you know. I was just doing my job. It was just boring. It was just boring as hell, and I just can't wait to get a break. And then once I got the break, it was. I think this is what job is about. Probably not, you know. Obviously, that's what this country is. Country is a bit very capitalist, you know. You don't work to live, you live to work. You know, you just work, 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 and you earn money. And that's similar to USA, you know. I mean, we should. I think we should have like a work-life balance. You know, I think you should work one place and then not work in not instead of putting you like with stress and just putting you at stress for too many long shift and putting you stress for just hanging along instead of just making instead of living and instead of worrying about making money and not getting enough break. You know, it's not. It's nice that you get a job and an opportunity. It doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to learn. Don't have to learn a certain language. Anyone can basically get a job. Anyone can. It's a capitalist country. It's very. It's kind of weird. It's a land of opportunity. It gives you all the opportunities that you need and and so around it. I haven't got an opportunity yet. For some reason, you know, I'm just really hope I can get there and time goes by and manage to get an opportunity after all. You know, I'm just a man just living in my living room, just doing nothing, just play games, and it becomes just routines and just doing just basic stuff, you know, and I got nothing to do really, you know, and that's kind of frustrating thing for me is that I just got fuck all to just basically effort to do with all the stuff that I've been shoved in, you know. I just wish I can get a job and you know, getting a job is just very hard, you know. The national minimum wage is probably really increased because it's all about job opportunities, it's all about the enterprise, it's all about making money and that's what you have instead of like keeping it simple. I don't think necessarily success isn't necessarily make you happy. It's all about I think it's about family, relationship and doing things that you enjoy, you know. I think that's what we've been brought up, you know. We've been brought up that you have to be rich, you have to be successful, you have to be use a credit card, you have to live in a big house with big cars, and then you become the happiest person on earth. And then I used to have that belief in this idea. I used to believe that stuff. I used to believe that crap back then, but I stopped believing it because it just doesn't matter. You just get a job and just make enough money to survive, and that's what it is. You know, you just make money and then you survive, and it's really nice for all job opportunities. Don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't necessarily make you really happy. It's just having all the basic things. It's about your family relationships and stuff like that. You know, despite coming from an autistic person, I mean, not necessarily autistic, but just claim to be autistic. Just claim to be autistic. I just wish, I just kind of wish people had that mindset, but that's them, you know. If people want to be goal oriented, that's completely up to them. I'm not holding anything. I'm not holding anything against them because that's what they wanted to do, and just good luck with you guys. Just good luck with it, and that's what the money is, you know. But that's what it is. It's a land of opportunity. It's a land of the rich, you know, and the land of the poor, you know. I don't know, man. I just one thing I also realized about the media and living in this country is the way they treat poor people. I mean the way they represented the working class or the lower class people and the social class. You know, in the media they treat the royalties like they are sub opera, they are big star, they are likable people. People love them because all the and they make them exciting and all this stuff. And then they treat the high class people with privilege like a star, a celebrity, something that you look up to, someone you like. And then the middle class is just something like just in the middle. You worry about that, you worried about your threat and protecting the countries. And white class is just absolute scums, you know. They are being demonized in the representation of in the UK media. Even you can go on This Morning, you can go on in the BBC shows and stuff like that. Channel 4, the Benefit Streets, Benefit Britain. They have tendency to demonize, make them look like the scroungers, you know, taking away the money, and the reason why the reason why they're poor, the reason why these people are poor is because they deserved it. They got themselves into this position. I just don't believe this. I don't necessarily believe this article because that's usually a lot more than that. Because in my opinion, I just felt like the UK media just have just completely we've been brainwashed to believe instead of looking at social inequalities and how we can look and progress, we celebrate the rich, we celebrate the wealthy, and the government tends to maintain that, and people seem to be sleep like, or maybe sleepwalk like zombies to believe all this kind of crap. And this is what I think. I just wish. I mean, what people should be doing is they have to look at this social justice and then stop listening to this propaganda. Propaganda and agenda they have against it just to maintain the rich people. We don't live in the Middle Ages. We should be progressive as a country. We should be moving forward as a country. We should be improving ourselves every day. We're not perfect. We're always going to have, even if we improve, we're still going to have bumps in it because that's what we are. There's always like a bumps and there's always things to improve, but there's a lot of strength and weakness in us, and that's what makes the country really great. But not really, because it's all random. Because back in those days, when you watch the classic, when you watch like a TV show that is like in that set in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and then you see the people working class back when they seem to be a very nice people, very easy to work with, and then they used to be one of these people that they used to love the royalties, they live a high class, they used to rate them so much, and they were like the salt of the earth, but now they're scum of the earth. You watch shows like Can't Pay You or Take It Away, and you see these guys, people can't able to pay the debt, and it's alright, yeah, I do get it, they should be paying the debt, they should be doing stuff. Some people probably can't be bothered taking, but maybe they can't because maybe they tried to, but then they get the stuff taken away, and they tried, even though they tried, but maybe trying is just not enough. That's one of the reasons why I don't watch shows like that, because it just demonizes them. That's also one of the reasons why I don't watch mainstream TV a lot, because it's absolute crap. It's all agenda driven, and it just makes you believe all this stuff that is absolutely not true. The reason why we done it because we've believed in it. This middle class are seen as a nice people. The normal people, which is only like about 20 or 30, 40%, or maybe 50% of the country's population, and then they only see working class as a minority, even though there are a lot more working class people than they really are. And that is the reality. And that's basically the reality, and that is one of the reasons why I want to move out. But that, because of they just drown on the poor, and they just treat poor like an absolute scums. It's not, maybe it's just not always their fault, and just don't believe what you say on TV and watch all this poverty porn and all that shit and all this shit. I just really hope you guys can edit. Yeah, I am actually from Britain, but that's how this is what I think of the media. I used to believe everything in the media. I used to believe that everything in all these stars. I used to believe a lot of stars are work class, like a high class, or maybe some a lot of money. It makes me realize I want to be one of those guys and stuff like that. But when I look at it, it's just not obtainable. It's just not realistic in the end, and I just makes me realize that this is the reality. The reality is nothing like that at all, and this is exactly what I believe, and this is what I wanted to believe, and I believe in now, and that's kind of up to them if they don't believe in anything or not. I just really, really hope people don't get completely and utterly brainwashed to believe all this kind of crap, because it's just not true. And then I was both, and the media, the government has always done this. They've always been demonized the miskin, or the poor people, or maybe people aren't getting enough money to just benefit culture. If you look at this morning, for example, you see one woman who paid 10,000 or 20,000 pounds, or maybe paid a lot, earning a lot of money, and just taking the benefits money just to feed 10 or 12 children. It just wants to make you believe that this is how the working. And that is exactly the further from the truth, because I just usually think, I just basically think that the working class people are being just demonized. If you read the book by Owen Just, because I haven't, the shafts, the demonization of the working class, and look how the way they treated, how they demonized it, how from the government policy, the Margaret Thatcher, which just closed down the mining coal and just ripped the family apart, and then you see another one. You see the poor tax riots, and then as soon as later they continue the representations and the policies and it's just ridiculous, and I just don't really like that. It just makes me, when I study and learn a lot about it, makes me realize, no way, this is not right. Is this how they've been portrayed? And it's just an absolute joke. Literally, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. And that's what I feel like. Even the sports fans, you see, for example, there's one footballer called Paul Pogba who he used to play for United. He came from the, he was a fantastic player, but he didn't play very well, and he gets criticised by media. Same with Raheem Sterling, is another footballer for going to the Primark, for paying a lot of money. Deals, issuing himself in the tattoos, is going to Primark and shopping and driving a big car. Just make a big deal out of nothing. Hello. And even things like that, one of the coach told him that it is what it is, and people are only jealous because he came from a very poor background. He worked hard for me, the family worked hard to make him to survive, and the reason why it is that people are gonna hate it. And I just couldn't agree more with this guy, with Jose Mourinho. And speaking of Mourinho, I already watched like a documentary of like Tottenham Hotspur's All or Nothing. It was actually it was an okay document. I'll give it, if anything, I'd probably give it a 3.5 star. If a maximum or the best, I'd probably give 4 star or 5. I really enjoyed it, and it really made me realise that Mourinho isn't necessarily out of touch in the modern game, as people suggest. Kane is tend to be quite vocal. As I thought he wasn't as vocal. He can be vocal at times, but hasn't shown enough of his leadership, and he just teaching about this, and he just doesn't listen to people who he tells that he's finished and all these people's opinion about him. Because if he does, he just switches off and he said "F off," and that's just what he'd actually said. It makes me laugh, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious when he said something like that, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant to watch him rage and rant and anything like that. It was just absolutely funny. It was hilarious, and then I really enjoyed it. I got a little bit bored afterwards. I'm just waiting for another episode, and then another episode to watch it. It's really, really nice. And then there's another one. There was another Amazon Prime series came from The Boys, which is supposed to be a villain version of a superhero, where they just do all this kind of stuff. I haven't seen it, and I haven't been bothered watching a lot of it. You know me, I just don't tend to watch a lot of TV and even Netflix. I used to watch a lot of shows on Netflix, but then I kind of stopped it because I'm more into YouTube. I'm more into YouTube. Maybe I do watch it sometimes. I used to watch shows like, I tried to watch the very first episode of Ozark, and then it's about this guy trying to he got himself into a gang manga, and now he has to pay him back millions and millions of dollars to keep him trying to survive. And I kind of found it tedious, and I kind of felt like boring, but I was recommended to watch it, and I said it's going to be fantastic, you have to watch it, and then I did watch it, and I just kind of felt bored. I think there's another good series that I need to start watching again and again, which I need to binge watch, is Money Heist, or in Espanol is La Casa de Babel. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm learning a bit of Spanish. I'm still learning now, but even though with limited resources, I don't get to go to watch train. I don't get to watch a lot. I do get a chance to watch. I get all the access, but I don't get to communicate a lot. I don't get used to speech a lot. But I really enjoyed watching the show, and with English subtitles, they put themselves in the inner city. They do good, a massive money heist, and they dress themselves as a black cloak with Salvador Dali mask. One with a long mustache. It was really, really nice. I really enjoyed the show. It's fantastic. Even though it's completely show kind of against the show that I watch. I usually watch shows that always the bad guys, the stealers, the robberies always wind up getting punished and stuff like that, which is real life. But this isn't real life. They always tend to get away with it. The very first episode, they got into Brada, one of the most prestigious like an art gallery in Madrid. They've entered one of the shows, and also seen the two teenage boys and girls. They dated each other. You don't want to see the bathroom, and that's it. They got in there. They're just making up stuff in a bathroom, and then they were about to take a big picture, and then suddenly all these gang just got themselves into this trouble. And I thought, and they got hung, and they got into stuff. they got themselves kidnapped and by those other gangs. It was just fantastic. It was a bit disturbing. It was just a bit unused for me. I kind of enjoyed it. It was such a fantastic time. I might consider, I might really consider making a show like that. I really, really hope I do. It was absolutely fantastic. The way they set up the plot and anything like that was really, really nice. Which, unlike, I find Ozark very positive. It was slow. It was just slow. The speed was limited. It's only one big stuff, and then it gets slow again. But I think La Casa de Papel is a little bit quicker. Boom, 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 boom. I usually like the quick stuff because I do like to watch show that's in short. I don't want the show that's like too long. Literally, I really don't. I would find that quite boring. I really find it quite boring. La Casa de Papel, which I might start calling from now on instead of Money Heist because it's in Spanish. It's originality, and I want to learn Spanish. Quiere aprender español and quiere ser español felita because I want to learn to be fluent in Spanish. Maybe cut it out. And este es mi segundo episodio del podcast, or my second episode of podcast. So yeah, I do know a little bit of Spanish, but I'm not really fluent because when I keep hearing them, I do struggle a bit. I'm trying to get better at saying things like that. And it was really fun. I mean, Netflix. There's another show that I've wanted. There's another foreign show that I can't remember. I used to watch it. It's probably one show that's set in Denmark or anything like that. I don't tend to watch a lot of TV shows, like I said. Maybe I only watch like the pastry show. I can't remember the name of the show that's in German. I really enjoy that, but it's because it's eggs, and I'm a semi-vegan. I don't eat any other meat or any other animals apart from halal meat because of my religion and because the way the animals are being slaughtered accordingly. Where they've been calm, they're going to be showing, and they just ask them whether they accept the sacrifice or not. Whether if they say yes, and said they put in the name of Allah, Allah's the greatest, and they said, and the animals are willing to take the sacrifice, are willing to accept this, and that's what I believe in. I don't eat eggs. I don't drink like dairy stuff. I used to love cheese. I used to really, really enjoy cheese when I was a little child. I used to eat, but then once I got cheese, actually in early days of my life, it's pretty like ironic. I mean, I used to eat cheese like from like 9 years. I used to eat cheese like every single day. I used to eat cheese like when I was 9, 10, 11. I used to be obsessed with it. I used to eat like Gouda cheese or Edam cheese, and I used to live on maybe Macedon more with a hole in it, cheese hole. And then I used to enjoy it like every day. It used to be love. And it was really nice, the dairy cheese. I was so obsessed with it. I can't resist eating. I used to eat it. Even a lot of people tend to, they used to put cheese in the bread in it, but I used to eat cheese plain. I used to take one slice and just eat it all by myself because I used to love this food. I used to be very hungry and all the time. But after I was watching one of those documentaries called Vegucated, and then because the reason why I watched Vegucated because I wanted to learn a lot about documentaries about food, and I watched the Food Incorporation and how food like that causes you diseases, and think that's to buy more organic or more localized food instead of like buy processed food. And they're fed up in America, and the reason why children get fat because of the processed food, and which highly in sugar, and they don't buy processed. Give us a challenge. And there's another one that really hit me the most. It's called Vegucated. It's an episode that it's a documentary that it's about three people, three New Yorkers who applied themselves to be a vegan for health reasons, and they said they're going to accept it. It's about learning about it. Because I used to think that basically it's one of these trying to encourage people to be vegetarian, and realize it's going to be struggle. It's a bit like a reality show, but when I watch it, it's very different. It teaches you a lot about the health, and then teach you about the strong. And I was willing to watch it because I want to watch documentary. I want to bring knowledge of documentaries of the documentary. I want to learn a lot. And one of the breaking point about me being sorry if I knocked it off. One of my breaking points for me about being a vegan was a semi-vegan. I was seeing that part in this. I was watching one of this film. They were watching one of these videos and say people believe that animals are usually go to the farm. They just live there all their lives, and then they go to then they ended up going to slaughterhouse, one of the local farms. They just they slaughter them and turn them into food, or maybe they take them to the slaughterhouse, everything's just normal in the cows and feed, and then they go gone and then just gone. And I used to believe that, and then when I watched it, it was a lot worse than I really thought. I watched a bit, and it's all because I think it's down to the way the animals are being treated. It's the way because I think it's the rise of population. It goes from 1950, there wasn't a lot of people living there, but because it was the population was rising exponentially, in an exponential rate. So that means the animals that we all eat has to be treated like a machine. So one of the first videos we saw is the male. It's a ball. Maybe has the easiest out of this lot easily. What do? They see the scene where they cut his balls, and I was thinking now, I was actually in devastated. You don't realize how disturbing that is, because usually when you hit your balls, it hurt a lot. Imagine you get a kick on the balls. Once you break your balls, that would be 10 times, 100 times, a million times more painful. But imagine if you cut your balls. That is just beyond shock, literally. And then also watched another one, and then it was just disturbing. They castrate them, and it was just horrendous watching it. And then another footage was about how the dairy milk are actually being preserved. Because I used to believe that cows are usually set in fields, and then they go to the barns and somewhere in, and then they just milk them, and then that's about it. Or you just local farm and then just throw it in the company. I used to have that belief system, but watching it, where I just makes you realize that our cows are just not too different to human beings. They are mammals like us, and they can't, like us, they can't produce milk unless they give birth to baby calves. And what they do, because and you can see a lot, hundred and thousands of supplies of dairy milk and cheese and butter and margarine, just you name it. Even the chocolate bars is adding it. Even some cereal bars is adding a bit of milk. Even a lot of it's already added milk to the ingredients. So what they do is they inject one of these balls, and then they just basically just rang them up, and then they inject the semen to inseminate the cows. And then what they do, and after they inseminate the cows, they give birth to like 5 to 6 months. And then after they give birth, what they do, they take the baby calves away. If it's a girl, if it's a baby girl, it'll be locked up. If it's a boy or a male, they're just gonna kill you straight away, or maybe raise for beef. Or if it's a female, you're just gonna go with the same process again, just forcibly impregnate take the baby, and in order to so the milk can go to humans like us. And then the cycle, and this cycle, it's not never ending. It's like it's a never ending cycle, and then it's gonna continue until the cow is so overwhelmed they can't able to produce milk. And what they do is just taking them. They don't get a happy retirement home, and people, and I don't believe, and then they just taken to the slaughterhouse, and then and that's what happens. And the third one, pigs, was something that really very disturbed me a bit. What they do is baby calves, they live in a crated egg, and then they just do the same thing so they can produce a lot of milk for pork. And then one of them, you see the pigs, the piglets, male piglets, they castrate them, they grab one of the balls of testicles, and then they just take the balls away, and then they and then they cut, and then they cut them, and it was just absolutely disturbing. But because of the regulation, they die of infections, injuries, and poorly instructed, and even neglect. It was just horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous the way you see. It's a lot and hundred of pigs that happened. And another one was a chicken, and then another one was chicken. And one of the things what they did the chicken is that they what they did is, as a baby chick, a female chick, they just cut off the claws, and they absolutely, and then what they do, they seal it, they take the pig away from them, and then because these it's not it's weird because these these are just not ordinary chicks. These were genetically modified chicks, and that means they grow really quick, and they get really heavy, and once they can't able to walk, they fall off. They survive disease, they die of of heat, exhaustion, asthma, and they can't able to breathe. They can't able to get up because they lose their balance and they get really really big. And what they do, they stamp them. And then after that and afterwards, and they just take him to slaughterhouse. And there's another one about the eggs. Eggs is just one of the worst of that, if not the worst. And then they're just gonna decide who it's gonna be, either a male or a female. If it's a female, they're just gonna take you for a long period. If it's a male, they're just gonna kill you off straight away. To kill you off, they just grind you out like that. Honestly, I'm not lying. I'm serious. That's what they do, and that's why I urge people for do not eat eggs. I've been laughed at. I've been ridiculed for not eating meat. I've been made to look stupid for eating eggs. That makes me worry. That's what they do, and they just take away and they just put them in a grinder, and then that's it. And they kill them off so they can feed them to the dog. And that's what they do. And this is a reality. People might not really like it or not, but this is a reality. And then after this, it really really hit me, and I just can't able to really explain how much painful that is. And it's the one that's got me in my head for like a couple of days, and I'm still worried about it. And it makes me realize that vegetarians, you know what, vegetarians have a point. I'm gonna start respecting them. I'm gonna start. It really affected me. It's one of those documentaries I've never been affected before. It's just doing new yogurts. Even they said that I'm never gonna eat meat again. I'm never gonna look at it. And then it just got in my head. And then one month out, once I seen about it, I've made it like a decision that I would not eat anything apart from halal meat. Halal meat is a bit different because I mean they're only been slaughtered like in a different way. I think they're only slaughtered like in a sacrificial. They're only been calming you down. They make peace in you, and they do, and then once they put them. I mean, they want to make sure it's sharp so they get slaughtered as quickly as possible, and make sure it's least as painful as possible. But even that, I'm still thinking about lowering it, but it's going to be very difficult because my family's been obsessed with meat. They've been obsessed with meat. They can't live without meat, and they just become. Since I became that, they become even more obsessed. They've been shocking and they're shoving it into my mouth. I mean, literally, it was just a total. It wasn't the right thing to do, but that's what I really really think about being a vegan, and that's what happens. And since then, I mean, and then since then, I just started to do that. I started to take it. I'd always look at the labels. She used to. Even mom, she doesn't even look at the labels. She just instead of thinking of does it contain milk, does it contain animal. But as a vegan, you can eat anything. There is a lot. Not only you can eat anything, but you can. There's a lot more availabilities to a vegan. They start marketing, and people starting to have more of a. Mom just instead of thinking that I can't have any animal product and stuff like that. I can't have pizza. I can't have chips. I can't have this. I can't have that because I'm vegan. I can't have fry. I can't have burger. I can't have cake. Instead of thinking inside it and logically and thinking outside of it, instead of thinking like. Instead of giving it, for example, I give you one analogy. Instead of having instead of a safety, someone instead of able not going to one ride in a train and one ride in a theme park because you have asthma problem or you're pregnant. Instead, you can't go to that one place. You can't go to any other roller coaster. It's just only one. But that's exactly how. And since my family become so obsessed with me become vegan, they have this idea of that I have to be vegan, I have to start eating more and more meat, it's become more and more popular. And what they're doing, because they just think that everything I do is completely unpopular, and they do is always popular. They're trying to be like a trendsetter or something like that. But in reality, vegans actually being popular. It's becoming a lot higher. A lot more people are eating meat. A lot of people it's actually going high. It's not going downhill. It's increasing, and they're going in the wrong way. Yeah, and I am considering stopping eating halal meat. I might consider just not to make me look too hypocritical. I might think about it twice or something like that. I just really, really hope I do that, but it's just not going to be easy because it's instead of having a little bit portion, it's just so much portions in it. But that's probably how I feel about a diet, and I just kind of wish that people they've understood that a little bit. Maybe I'm allowed to, but I'm not even allowed to show them video. They'll be, no, don't take it away. Don't take it away. Literally, don't take it away. It's disgusting. No. Literally, honestly, man. Honestly, every single time they always take this stuff away. This is just a torture, though. and that's how I feel about my life. That's how I feel about it right now. But I think I will find a way to quit it, but it's just not going to be easy. And I really hope I find a great time to do it. And a great time to do it. I really think the veganism is not only good for your body, but it's also good for your body. It's not only good for you. It's also saving the planet. You're sparing life in an animal being, but also it also the reason why we get like a cancers, you get cancers, heart disease, and all this sort of disease because we're eating food and we aren't designed to do it. We're not omnivores. We're just basically frugivores. So that means people might come and argue with me and they said, oh, look at why nature's we've got one big canine teeth, did you miss? But our canine teeth it's small. It's not designed to cut off flesh. It's designed to cut off fruit. It's so useless to cut any other than the envelope. You can't bite it. The reason why omnivores could do that because they got massive teeth and they can only chew it upwards and downwards. They can't. Us like can move left to right. We got longer intestines. And usually because the meat will actually putrefy in your stomach. Usually it's putrefy in your stomach. And the only way to prevent this if it's able to quickly pass through them. Omnivorous animals don't really have a very, very, very short intestines. We've got long intestines. But the reason why we can able to eat them is because we can cook them. And that's one of the major factors I feel like. We can only cook them because if we eat them raw we'll get horrible diseases. We might suffer from more. Why don't we just eat it raw? If we understand it. But I think about the Stone Age, maybe I don't believe that. But maybe the reason I have an idea that my reason why we eat is because we need an ability to survive. We don't have choice. I can understand that. We do have choice. And I think vegan is the way to go. You can have vegan stuff. You can be strong vegan. Just ask Patrick Baboumian. And I was about to enjoy Joe Rogan podcast recently after watching True Geordie podcast, but Joe Rogan podcast has been sponsored by one of those meat companies, and maybe that's really the reason why he said hunting is good for you, and that's why he proves hunting. But that's my opinion about hunting. It's not nice and it's just not right. And here it is. I guess you guys really and I really hope you really enjoyed it. Second episode, my episode of another episode of the Circus. I just watch it on iTunes and Spotify. See ya.